Okay, so Paul, this is just a quick recording for you to see Stonehold in all its glory so you can get a general idea of how the fortress looks. So when walking up, you'll have a nice little village around it, um, general path. So this is the outside gates. There's two giant towers that you can see, one to the right and one to the left. They're about 3 floors, one on the ground, one in the middle, one on the top, with a path in the center and then a path on the top to go over, as you can see. I believe I mentioned in the document how many men it can hold, so you can look in that document I sent you a while back. When you walk in, there's immediately two entrances to the tower, so you can go either way and follow them through. They're ladder based for these, and then there's a path that goes through the bottom row of the wall all around. So pretty simple. When you immediately come in to the left, you'll see a guard station. This is typically where who's ever manning this, like guarding right here, guarding the wall, would be stationed, as well as those who'd be standing out here guarding the wall. The gate, of course, would come down as soon as anything goes, but the gate is a wooden gate, and then that's it. You typically they'd have troops stationed here with like spears and arrows to plug you full of them as you're trying to break through. So as I said, there's a guard station right here, and hold about maybe 10 guards, 20 guards, depending on. There's a second floor on top that you can climb up to. And you can go onto the roof, and then you can kind of, in case of a full-on siege, like they've made into the walls, you can stand up here and shoot arrows down and block the doorway if need be with whatever furniture you can. So as iron bars that can be blocked with whatever furniture. Up here, there's a little gate, there's a little area for a mage to sit in. This mage is an alarm. Basically, they would normally go through, there's supposed to be a path over here behind in the wall that I have set up that's, you can't see at this time, but it's a little secret door that I've gotten set up in here with a mod. Basically, this is where they would sit. They would be shooting fireballs or whatever down into the area. It's inaccessible from down here. You can only get into it from the inside of the walls. So pretty simple. You'd see these pillars. They don't really hold up the roof. They're more or less just for, to look pretty. Up here you would have where archers and such would be stationed to shoot down at those trying to enter inside of Stonehold. There's two areas, one where Leon Stone would live. You can fit up to, I'd say, maybe 20 soldiers in here to rest. Um, Pretty simple as far as it goes. Basic bedroom and kitchen, or a bedroom and upstairs. There's a second one, a second room similar to this, by um, another room for another commanding officer who would stand here, which again, you could probably fit like 10 people in this. Assuming each of these blocks is about 5 feet, so just to note. So yeah, you're pretty high up here. Um, I think this is a total of a tree length. This would basically be what wood they were able to get. Stone would have a lot of this imported at the time from the in exchange for a lot of the iron he had mined out, which I will show in a sec. From here you can go, pretty much you have 3 paths you can choose. Up here, which will lead you out to the top of the hill, and into another guard tower, which, as you can see, is another guard tower set up in case the enemy breaches the walls. They can start shooting from here immediately. This enters onto a path that goes about, and I'll show that. This is a rather giant tower. Again, I believe it's 3 floors high, 4 floors high, and could probably station up to maybe 50 or 100 to 120 soldiers, I can imagine. So pretty simple, self-explanatory. Um, so it leads up here, which then there's a bathhouse in here which you can go into. Again, assuming each block is about 5 feet tall, the baths are about 10 feet deep. You can go in here. This is also another place where you could probably seal off pretty simply. Massaging area, general parlor. An escape tunnel out of the hill itself is in the bathhouse. This leads to another area, which I don't feel like it going and showing you. This basically leads out of the hill for the time being, to be self-explanatory. It's not going to be normally noticeable. There'll be furniture on top of it, so unless you've spent a lot of time inside Stonehole, you wouldn't notice. Um, Down here, they have the storage area and a general shower room. So basically, if you want to wash off and such. A lot of this water, hey guard, is pumped in through a system of pipes that the mages have set up. Um, it would be recycled water. They've basically set up to where the water is ultimately recycled, since there is no natural springs in this castle. This will take you up. There's a few guard towers up here that you can visit. Another one's up here. This one is also uh, 3 floors altogether. Again, probably around 100 troops in there. And then you have a little town up here that you can visit. There'll be little shops around that you can go into. A herbalist, a potion shop, so similar. Then you have the military area where you can enlist. Obviously, you can see there's a bunch of soldiers in there, but this is where you can enlist in Stone's army if you're just visiting or want to find out information. Like, say if you're with a trade caravan and you're staying within the keep itself, you can come up here. There is a bookstore, so a small little bookstore for set up inside Stonehold that you can visit. This is basically a town for the guards that are within the and those for visiting guests who don't want to leave the keep. There's the Royal Forge, which is where they set up the best weapons, so on and so forth. Pretty simple, self-explanatory. And then they have a general armor shop as well, which apparently everyone has decided to go visit. Oh, pretty simple, little town up here. And then if you go up here, so if you instead had gone to the second floor of the tower that we originally came out of the tunnel of, you'd be able to go all the way up to the main Church of Stone, which is only accessible to those who are in Stonehold Keep. This church could probably almost hold 1,000 soldiers inside of it. It's pretty massive. So we have the first floor, just pretty self-explanatory podium with people to sit in. It goes all the way around to, look about. There's a little skinny path in the back that you can walk about. Then you go to the second floor over here, where you've got bedrooms of plenty to kind of store yourself in, with a ladder to sleep in up here. Hold up to 2 people, sleeping wise. And this is pretty practical throughout. There's multiple bedrooms in each of these. Each of them are 2 stories. This is a tower inside Stonehold, so these windows, in case of emergency, say if there are troops out here and you've guarded it, you could break a window here and you could start shooting into the front of the place. You can do the same thing from the second floor or from the third floor. This is more of the loft area for Stonehold, where they have a monk area for barracks for those who are set up, commander's office. Those who are monks to the House of Stone would stay in these areas. Then, if you came out over there, as you can see, there's also the only way up here is through the ladder. You can't go otherwise. You would then find this back area, where you can also get up here actually from the second floor. So again, with the podium being down there in the main portion of the church, you can go to this back area and climb up. This will take you into the third floor of the Church of Stone. Then the last floor is only accessible by this ladder, so it can be locked off. And this is just basically a tower of sorts that is set up that you can shoot out of if need be. You can also break the windows and get out there. So pretty simple, self-explanatory. There is no floor above that, so this would be apparently the attic. I misstepped. So now you kind of got a general idea of this, the Church of Stone. Let me just get out of here. So there's that. So again, that's just following the path back into the tower that we originally came out of. If we go back over here to the town, and we go back down, you go into the staircase, which is at the back of the entrance of Stonehold Keep. So that's where this leads. As you can see, the walls are kind of set up to where you can ignore that. So where you can kind of shoot down pretty easily if you get stuck, or if you defend for. Basically, it's all set up for defense. That soldiers would come marching up here while you're retreating back and holding them. And you can also set up archers and stuff elevated above your main troops to shoot into the general area. So the third area to exit out of is this one. Again, this is off to the right when you get to the end. This takes you up into the kitchens of the actual keep itself. So Stonehold Keep actually has a castle built on it. And so this is the kitchen where servants would prepare food, so on and so forth, would do stuff in here. And they climb these really, dangerous stairs with it. Stone servants are well trained. And you have Stonehold Keep. This is where what it would generally look like. This would be the meeting area where the throne room is for Stone. You have your list of consul, head merchant, head priest, vanguard leader, magic college leader, general, guard captain, diplomat, royal smith, lead miner, and lead architect. And then up here you would have Stone's chair or throne with his first wife, or the one he considers his first wife, which has been empty as far as Stone goes, and his first warrior, or his personal commander. Um, there's a book in here, ignore that. Then you would have these other areas. These are side part towers that you can climb up. Each one's practically the same. And they lead onto, this one leads into a small bedroom where you can have royalty sleep of sorts. So if you have like royal guests and such, you can have them sleeping there. I think the same goes for each of these towers. So there's no tower in the front, as you'll notice, but there is a three-pronged area. So there's one over here as well, where instead the person sleeps right at the bottom or right above the stairs. This would be most likely where you'd keep a lot of these diplomats, and then you'd have the same thing over here. So a similar room. And then you have the stairs over here, which we can go up. Which again houses all these towers. Each of them, these are each bedrooms, either for servants or guests, depending on whether Stone has guests at the time. If he doesn't, then the servants would sleep in here since Stone sleeps underground. So, and then they have a little armory inside of it set up specifically for the troops that guard the castle, which I haven't come up with a name of. Again, similar, small. These can be set up as barracks as well. For those, but that area where I showed you the armory would also be where they'd store their stuff. Then we got the top of the castle where you have the 4 towers of Stonehold Castle. As you can see, each is set up properly. There's 3 that are smaller, and then you have the largest one, which I don't know, have a tower name for it. But say if someone like has infiltrated the mountain and gotten over the walls and is climbing about, you can shoot from here and defend. You can shoot through the arrow slits of sorts and the iron bars. You can go down here, same thing, again, lower down. If they've gotten into the keep, you can start shooting from there and block off these. Each of these are set up to basically defend from both inside and outside. There's ladders over here that you can climb down back into the tower's middle floors, which I showed you. And each of these are pretty much the same. They all have the similar setup, ladder, and then go on. So again, each of these blocks, assuming are 5 feet, that's about a 15 feet opening. It's set up for orcs and taller races like that. So yeah, again, same thing with the towers. Each of them are set up this way. So that is Stonehold Tower. If you go, or Stonehold the castle, we'll call this Leon's Castle for now, just to make it easier. So Leon's Castle would be the name of this place. The Lion's Den, whatever suits your or floats your boat. So those are the 3 entranceways from the center entrance of Stonehold Keep. It takes a little bit to get to navigate. This is a massive castle, and only because Stone had such a massive army is he able to actually defend it. If you go down the main tunnel, so if you follow the path all the way down to this main tunnel, apologies for the lag, it's going to happen. You'll run into 4 different bedrooms. These are each of the noble families. Well, 3 are noble families that are ruling under Stone. They're the 3 clan chiefs that immediately vassalized under Stone and supported him during his campaign to conquer the others. There'd be a human one, an elven one, or wild elven one, and then the red orc one that you read about in the document I'll be sending you. So pretty simple. And I do have an explanation on the red orc, so do not worry about that. So that's the main area. If you come down here, again, can be blocked off at that entranceway, and can be blocked off here. Now here is Stone's pride and joy, the mine shaft, which is what I was talking about. So if you come down these stairs, you end up entering into this. This is a deep mine shaft Stone originally had dug out to collect all the iron he could get. This goes all the way down to bedrock in Minecraft, so this would be rather deep and have lots of iron. There's a staircase right here. As soon as you come in or come down the stairway, you can go through this and go down to the next floor. Obviously, the testificates have decided to hang out. So, the vanguard of the Band of the Lion sleeps in this area. They also store a lot of their armor in here, so it's easily set up with a two-tier system. It'd be rather kind of cramped for an orc, but they could easily make it do. There's a reason why the vanguard's not made up of orcs. There's a giant food storage for the keep itself in here. I'd say there's almost about half a year's worth of food that could be stored here of vegetables that they would have. Pickled stuff and honey mostly. Stuff that they can basically pickle and last for a while. There's also the armory, which has varying degrees of plate, armor, and chain. Most of it would be chain just because it was cheaper and more efficient. Then you have the second portion of the vanguard who sleeps over here. Same thing again, a two-tiered barracks, chest and armor stand, and then a second floor. Total that would hold about 300 people, and yes, I did count. Then you have the Royal Library, which is where Stone keeps all of the knowledge he has either purchased, stolen, or written himself. This is the place where Stone spends most of his time, and is well built. This is also where Lokiana would have stayed most of the time when she was in the college. So you can get books in here and so on and so forth. This is where you'd store them. So this is the Royal Library. Pretty simple, easy. Lots of books would be loaded into there. Just because Stone is actually very much an avid reader. Then you have the staircase going down into what is called the root level. This is where a lot of the plants that can be grown underground or in darkness that would be edible as roots would be grown. It is self-built. The water here again is set up through a recycling system that would take the water in here and cycle it back through the system. So they also have a small farming set up for beasts that can live in the dark and are still edible. Pretty much any beast that Stone collects, because Stone is big into collecting different beasts of the Savage Lands. So any that can grow in the dark or live in the dark, or well, live in the mineshaft itself and underground, would be fed and kept here that could also be eaten. Again, more of the root farm. The head farmer would live here. Simple, easy enough. He would be the one who'd take care of this with a small team of servants. And then they have chests set up for their supplies. You go back down the stairs, and you end up on the third floor. So the third floor is the tavern. So there is a built-in tavern where a specific merchant is living. He stays here. I don't have a name. Feel free to make it up if you want. This is up for the troops that live inside Stonehold, and in case the keep is under siege, there is a constant supply. The booze would run out, but there is someone who runs it. Typically, this would have actually been where Raza would have stayed most of his time. So, let's see. We also have the Alchemist, where Stone has a lot of his magicians that are, making alcohol, or not alcohol, but working on, exploding stuff. Stone has very big interest in how to burn down brick, as well as an interest in how to kill gods. So that's what a lot of their studies are based around, and building up potions and such like that. So they have their own little area. And we have the workshop where Stone has taken a lot of the slaves that were builders and such, and this is where they would practice working on stuff. Stone keeps a steady supply of wood down here. It wouldn't be much, but again, it's what he can afford. And then they'd be working in here constantly with different ideas of sorts. So this would be where Stone would have a lot of his siege equipment archived. So, which has been going on since Stonehold was pretty much founded. The mineshaft is the original portion of Stonehold. This is what it started as. So there's a little bathing area. This is just some sort of small in-ground, I guess, mineral spring. It wouldn't be much. It'd just be basic water that's been sitting there. It's created by the druids that live inside Stonehold, or live in Stonehold City, and it's constantly refreshed by them with their spells. We get down to what, the 4th floor. And we have, first off, a massive barracks area. This contains, I think, around 700 troops of Stone's personal guard. These would be variants of Red Orcs from the Red Orc army, Red Orc Noble, and they would mostly stick around in here. So we also have the crypt, which Stone has set up, or I guess, mausoleum. It's not actually the crypt. It's yeah, it's his mausoleum. It's a little setup that he did as an artsy thing, to show a little bit about his past, because he planned to make this his ancestral home. Um, this is where he also has his statements on both of the tribes he originates from. So anybody who actually has privilege to come in here, they would be able to see this. And he has it set up. And then he also has something set for his first wife, Mira, that again has a water feature set up from the druids that refresh it on a constant basis. Uh, and then he has his own little wall set up that would talk about the House of Stone and its founding. So pretty simple setup. Then we have this room, which is the crypt. So this would be where Stone would have dropped his daughters off, specifically over here. The crypt's rather large. Only has the one thing. It's a stone thing, or a stone crypt. It doesn't actually have Mira's body in it. Her body's, if I remember correctly, no, he would have had her body in her. Yes, so he would have her body in her, and then he'd have a statue of her cut out of sit on top. And so all these are empty except for that one. So he would have come in here. So it's a nice large storage space for any gunpowder easily could have be put in here. Again, if these are 5 feet, then you're looking at 20 feet of block or of room. After that, so the staircase. You continue down to Stonehold's bottom or second or 5th floor, and you run into first the officer's chambers, which is technically in a big cavern that's been set up. You'd see a lot hotter sources of, I would say, lava of sorts that would be flowing about. These are all the officers, as well as a mix of so the officers would be in the center. Mainly, these officers are under Stone's command personally. Then you'd have wild elves that would be stationed over here. There aren't going to be as many, due to the fact that most of the wild elves prefer to live out in the city rather than in the underground. And then the humans the few humans that are set up in here. So you'd have your quartermaster, the guy who gets all the equipment, and then your, what's this, lead officer, which would be just the ranking below general. He would be the one taking things, making sure everyone's doing what they need to. We have our training area for all the troops, so they can go in here and practice any day of the week. They have equipment available to them, practice bows, simple stuff like that, test dummies to kill and such like that. Then we have Stone's slave chamber, or slave pens. These are his personal slaves. Most of these people would be basically personal slaves that Stone has brought on, that he's bought, and that have submitted. He wouldn't bring any wild slaves in that would choose to rebel, just because these are supposed to be slaves that he can rent out to the people who visit. So, in a sense, basically most of them are sex slaves or servants of sorts that they come back down here and sleep in. The last floor is the smithy. So the smithy has this giant thing that was built by a few orcs that Stone had crafted specifically. Orcs and dwarves that built this all together. This thing's massive. It was designed for, Stone had designed for if he ever tamed a dragon. He wanted the armor built into this. This forge is rarely ever used, but it's constantly lit with the coal that they dig out. There's about 6 smaller forges, as well as anvils and I don't know, furnaces, I guess, to heat up metal and such. That's the staircase, by the way. Over on the right, when you enter in, is the mine shaft. So this is where Stone has a lot, mini mine shaft, I should say. This is where Stone has his miners constantly working and digging out tunnels. This tunnel goes on for a good while. I'm not going to show the entire thing. But this is where they have a rail system all set up, and they basically go ahead and bring the ore, or go down, dig it up, and bring it here to be worked on in here. So, and then Stone has his chamber. Now, this would be constantly guarded, as well as I had it set up. I can't remember the switches anymore. I think because of the update, it might have deleted it. But I had it set up to where this would actually use pistons to bring down a massive, heavy stone wall. So if you're not like from here, or if you invade, one of the guards would immediately shut this. It could only be opened either by a key that they have, which they're supposed to, swallow, or you have to blow it up. But this is where Stone would keep his massive riches. This is the best armor. He's collected trophies. gold, pretty much anything of value Stone has stored in here that he feels is of value to himself that he doesn't want anybody chancing to steal. And then you have the 4 vents that bring fresh air into here constantly. So, and apparently rain. But yeah, so that's pretty much Stonehold on the inside. The last thing I'm going to show is the circumference of the outside, so you can get a general idea of how big this fortress is and how hard this would be to man without a decent-sized army. So we have, like I said, this is the front entrance of the wall right here. You'd get up here and you could travel across it. You can pretty much see all across Stone's domain. There's going to be a bit of a mountainous area, so there's going to be a lot of rocks sticking up and such. I'm going to fly just to make our lives easier here. Bit of a climb here, so there'd be a massive area for like a town, for the town itself, merchants area, so on and so forth. There'd be a lot of shops in this general area. Then as soon as you climb over it, you get to climb down on ladders. There's a little area to our troops are stationed in that they can huddle up when it's cold, and then there's a window here to shoot out at any invading troops. Again, more rocks and such would be piled up. You have to climb up ladders again over here, so there's a nice little dip, and then you climb up again, and you're up on the next floor. And again, you can see pretty much vastly as long as you're paying attention. Once you get up here, you get to your first tower. It's two tiered, which I forgot the ladder for it. I apologize, but would imagine that being there. And then you can see pretty much over this. There are always torches lit up here. These would be cactus mixes, probably. And then you have the inside. A lot of times Stonehold will go into the hill a bit, so here's up front of the Lion's Den, the castle itself, which would, again, you can see the vents that come out. They're rather tall, extremely tall actually. From here, you've got a little area where troops can come in here, rest, relax, whatever, and then they can go into here, and then they can kind of shoot out as well. So they can walk the tunnel again. This is rather cramped because Tone usually keeps only dwarves within these areas, or elves. Again, pretty simple wall, pretty self-explanatory, all set up to the natural thing. Over there, from what you're seeing, is the Mages College. This would be the main area for the Mages College, would be 3 towers. Like I said, this isn't an updated save. My updated save is loading right now, so you don't get to see a lot of the city. You only get to see Stonehold itself. But imagine, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 towers all standing up, and then the main entrance that you have to take a gate or a bridge across. They're held up by, or that lead to the main tower in the center. This is where all the knowledge of the mages are stored. So back over here, again, there are the vents for inside the mine shaft. So as you can actually see, there is a house being built right here that leads into Stonehold. This leads into the barracks of the Lion's Den Vanguard. No one would know about this except for Stone, as well as the Vanguard themselves. It's bricked off to make it look normal. There's no secret passage. It's just in case they need to ever break out, they can. So back to the wall, and that's in the back of the palace, by the way. That's one of the vents or exits. So again, we have towers scattered about here, as you can see. There's one here, there's that one over there that didn't have the ladders. You keep following the ladder, there's a steep incline here. Again, these are really high walls. You're looking at maybe 20 to 30 feet, or 20 to 50 feet tall on rock and such. So you go around, here's that tower that I was talking about. That would be right here. Over there's what Olgon's camp was going to be, but again, this is an outdated stave, so it's got a nice little barrier wall around it. And then back in that area would be a giant coliseum that you would see. So over there for a second. And as you follow this around again, you see the bathhouse there, and then the tower, or the main, or that one guard tower you exit out of the tunnel of. So that's Stonehold in general. If you actually look, you can kind of see this thing's rather massive. Kind of do a panning shot here. You can kind of see that this thing goes on for a while. You need 20,000 troops to pretty much man this keep. This is not something small. This has been built over probably about 30 years, and in continuous thing. This is just the main keep, so yeah. Most of the masons and such that would know this wall would be dwarven and would have come from foreign lands outside of the continent of Eir if they weren't personally under Stone's command. A lot of the masons would have been under Stone's command from the clans he, collected. So that's Stonehold in a nutshell. Again, you're just kind of going around it, and you get kind of general view of it. So that's Stonehold overall. I hope that kind of explains things, and we can go. That'll be easier to go into the siege for.